How do you think he's doing?
He's joking, right? Man, come on, man. Nobody wants to feel this way. I don't think anybody wanted a war. They definitely didn't want to arguably lose one.
But when you're asking him to please do better, what was it in that moment that you were asking the president to do and to do differently?
Well, I believe in that same monologue. I reminded him that everyone on earth is counting on him.
Yeah.
I think I made the point that the presidency is no place for a petty person. But I just know that Americans, I think everyone wants to have some semblance of peace. And they get there different ways. Some people think there's different things threatening their peace, you know. But being a president seems like an opportunity to be a very unifying force. And I feel like perhaps he squandered that opportunity, to put it lightly.
That is putting it pretty lightly. The President of the United States is also just out of his ever-loving mind. But if you think I'm wrong, let's go ahead and check in on the administration and see how they're doing these days at, unifying everybody.
If the American people want the truth, they definitely should not pick up the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or watch CNN, especially these days in the midst of this incredibly successful military operation against Iran. It's almost like these legacy American media outlets were rooting for the Iranian regime over the American people, over our great United States military, because they are so rooted in their opposition to President Trump rather than seeking and reporting on the facts. The facts are the United States of America tonight have never been so close to making a truly good deal, unlike the horrific deal signed by Barack Hussein Obama, than we are right now. Why? Thanks to President Trump's brilliant negotiating tactics and thanks to the success of Operation Epic Fury, a mission that he launched after 47 years of Iran being at war with the United States of America and having presidents for 47 years who lacked the courage to do what President Trump finally had the courage to do.
Well, kumbaya to you two, you insufferable. But hey, at least the man himself is still as humble as ever as he continues to age gracefully.
I just looked at a little chart. World War I, 4 years and 3 months. World War II, 6 years. Korean War, 3 years. Vietnam, 19 years. Iraq, 8 years. I'm 5 months. Okay, 5 months. I would have won Vietnam very quickly.
I know that's just like him being him, but I don't think I've ever heard of anybody talking about wars like that, like how you would talk about how fast you can run a mile. I feel like there are more important factors that might, in the words of Dave Chappelle, potentially play a role, like long-term consequences or the destabilizing of foreign nations, or what's that other one that happens a lot with war? Oh yeah, all the dying. Like if you have 100 wars, but each one only lasts a day, that's still 100 wars. It seems like a better strategy might be to, rein in some of the wars, but apparently that wasn't possible with Iran because the president had, and I quote, a feeling.
The president said yesterday for the first time that he had to strike Iran because he believes that Iran was going to strike U.S. targets within 7 days, and then he bumped that down later to 3 days. Where is he getting that?
Well, that's not the first time the president has said that he chose to launch Operation Epic Fury because he felt as though Iran was going to strike the United States and our assets in the region first. Again, I addressed this in the last briefing. This was a feeling the president had based on facts provided to him by his top negotiators who had been engaged with the Iranian regime in a good faith effort. The Iranian regime was lying, deceiving the United States of America, clearly trying to continue their nuclear program to create a bomb that would, of course, threaten the United States of America. Again, their ballistic missile arsenal, they were rapidly and aggressively increasing that by the month to a place where they would essentially build immunity for themselves, where a future president or President Trump would not be able to launch this incredibly successful operation. And so the president, again, as I have reiterated and he has said, was not going to sit back and allow the Iranian regime to threaten or to attack the United States of America any longer.
I feel like I got a cavity from watching that. Now, if you didn't hear what Bazooka Bubblegum was saying there, she said the war in Iran had to happen because Donald Trump had a feeling, and then she realized she'd used the word feeling, which goes against her entire political ideology, which is built on the idea of repressing emotional affect in favor of unfeeling rationality, which is itself impossible, but we don't need to get into all that. So she just quickly threw in the word fact to kind of compensate for it, because she knows what's on Ben Shapiro's coffee mugs, unless we forget her job is, at the end of the day, as a propagandist. But you know what? Mehdi Hasan can put it better.
The Wall Street Journal piece about Donald Trump that came out on the weekend, about his paranoia, his fear, his anxiety, how he's blowing up at people, shouting at aides, why is the war not over? Why are they not winning? It's a remarkable piece in two ways. Number one, because it really does outline a president who is detached from reality, who needs the 25th Amendment, needs to be removed from office. I mean, he's so out of touch, he's so unfit for office that his own team, apparently, according to the Journal, kept him out of the Situation Room while they were trying to rescue those 2 American airmen who were in Iran. They were worried that Trump being in the room would jeopardize the entire operation. He would say or do something dumb or erratic. It's a phenomenal piece about how he sits in the middle of meetings about Iran and then suddenly starts talking about the ballroom. He can't stay focused on one topic because he's got this, pudding for brain. And I think it's remarkable to see that this man-child who shouldn't have been allowed anywhere near the White House, now he's in his first full-on war. And it's a reminder as to why you shouldn't have mentally incompetent people in office. Because in a crisis, that's when it really shows. You can bullshit your way through domestic stuff, but in a foreign crisis, in a war with lives on the line, it's a real problem.
I feel like clapping. I would like to clap. I am by myself, so I'm not going to clap. But on the inside, I am clapping, and on the outside, I'm going to continue to let Mehdi Hasan cook.
The second part of the piece that's important is, while it's great reporting from Josh Dorsey and I think it's Annie Linsky at the Journal, the problem with the reporting always is, I'm always torn on these pieces because great revelations, great questions asked, great interrogation, great scoop. But then the language of mainstream media is so normalizing. The sane washing, I think, is the phrase we look for, which is all the evidence they've assembled tells you that this man is unhinged, he's deranged, he's a nut job, he shouldn't be in office. But because the media can't bring itself to say that, because of the norms of our coverage, they have to then sane wash him. So they tell you all the crazy stuff he's doing, but then they say he's impulsive, he's erratic, he oscillates. Oscillates is just a nice word for saying the guy can't stay focused on anything for longer than 10 seconds. He has the attention span of a goldfish, right? But you can't say that about the president. You have to say he oscillates from topic to topic. He's erratic, he's impulsive, he's impetuous. These are all sane washing words. Actually, he's unhinged, he's unbalanced, he's mentally unfit for office. But if you say that in the mainstream media, that means you're biased, you're not impartial.
Yeah, the president of the United States is like a deranged lunatic. He's unimaginably stupid. He is supremely hateful. He is chronically blasphemous. He's malignantly narcissistic. He is overtly racist. He is wholly incompetent, and he's wholly incontinent. He's not sane. He's not sane. He's not like, oh, maybe he just didn't live up to his promises. No, he's a psycho. He's a psycho and he's our president. And it's not TDS to say that, okay? It's RTR, otherwise known as reading the room. Don't you try to acronym me, right-wingers. I will acronym you right back. SHMG. So what I am still wondering about here is, how did any of us really think this was going to go? All I know is that for me, I really didn't think this second term was going to be this insane. I kind of did think, because of his age, because of how much he was losing his mind, that it would be kind of maybe even potentially less crazy than the first term. And boy, was I wrong, but probably for the same reasons. Now, you see how that works? You see how it's possible to look back on something or something you thought about something, realize the error of your ways, and then move forward in a new, slightly more enlightened path? It's a pretty basic psychological function for most people. But not the president, because he's out of his mind. He's an absolute lunatic. But now let's give him the nuclear codes. Let's have him start a new war. He's vibing. He's got a vibe. He's got a feeling, based on facts, of course. It's the feelings or the fact. Even though facts are often, shaped and molded by your feelings, and those facts that you actually accept as facts are very often rooted in your emotions. In fact, that's sort of the strata from which facts are understood. So the whole facts over feeling thing is just another lie that we don't need to get in all that. Just go start some more really quick wars. Unbelievable. Now, as a last note, Dave Chappelle. I will always have a soft spot for Dave Chappelle. I think he is a comedic genius. That said, okay, I'm a little disappointed, but not in a moral sense, okay? I'm not going to a comedian for like political, insights here. I'm going to him to be a comedian. And it doesn't make sense to me how he can get on these huge stages and like shout to the rooftops about marginalized people, but when it comes to the president of the United States in an interview, he's like, oh, well, maybe, he's not really doing that great of a job. It's like, why don't you, aim your comedy beam up at him, Chappelle. That's not a moral. There's no moral indignation. That's just wanting to see you do what you do best in a way that actually goes against power rather than for it. That's my only thing. It's a preference. We can have preferences, right? Some people prefer not to have wars, and some people prefer to just do really quick ones all the time. I don't know. All right, folks. I'll see you later. I'm gonna go brush my teeth because I feel like I've just been chewing cotton candy. Pink. It's just kind of, thankfully I have the blue here. Otherwise, how would you know I'm a boy? This administration I think it's contagious. They've all lost their minds. See you next time, everybody.